This morning in the studio with me is Shamima Muslim from the NDC communication team. Along the line, I will introduce my second guest to you, who's not here with us at the moment, but we have to get into the papers now. Good morning, Shamima. Welcome to the
Good morning, sweetie. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
No, it's my first time, actually.
It's a pleasure
being on the AM show as a panelist.
Yes. Well, so what we do on the show, when we have our guests on the news review segment, is to give them a minute or two to reflect or respond or react to any topical issue that they want to share their thoughts with. So what's on your mind this morning?
Well, for me, what's on my mind is the young people of Ghana, because come Monday, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is going to launch the NDC Youth Manifesto. Okay. And the fact that JM is centering the issues of the youth, who apparently form 38% of our population, is very germane. And the fact also that he is very committed to uplifting young people, because truly the future of any country depends on what is happening to its youth. As we heard recently, almost 2 million young people are not in employment, not in education, not in training. That is a recipe for disaster. It is a huge demographic. Africa is going to have the youngest continent within the next decade.
Right.
And that demographic portends positive if we are able to do the right investment, or it will be a threat to the stability of our continent and our nation.
So this youth manifesto contains how he intends to tackle all these issues affecting
yes, the youth of the issues of employment, the youth issues of training, issues of health education, you know, the mental health challenges that today's young person is going through as a result of the internet and Instagram and all of those negative social pressures that are on young people, which is pushing many of them to adopt certain unhealthy lifestyles and behaviors. We're going to comprehensively give hope to the youth of Ghana and invite them in the same breath to join the change train and to ensure we rescue this nation from where it currently is.
All right. Just before we get into the paper, what about the actual campaign manifesto? When will that be?
We will announce the dates as soon as, yes.
All right, so let's start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. On the front page, introduce broad-based toll systems, that is according to the Vice President and flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to road sector stakeholders. And then we need $271.7 billion to expand roads. That is according to the Finance Minister. President tightens grip on public lands. Presidential approval now needed for sale or transfer. And then 100,000 farmers benefit from agribusiness projects. This is the Daily Graphic newspaper, and let's get into the stories now. I'll start with this story about the president tightening grips on public lands. I think we read that story also yesterday, that approval has to come through the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. Cabinet has instructed all public institutions in possession of public lands to desist from selling or transferring them to third parties without authorization from the President. And the directive further advised the public not to enter into contracts with any public institution for the transfer of land which had not been expressly authorized by the President. So this is all efforts towards securing our lands and not giving them away to private individuals. I'll do 3 more stories before I come to you, Shamima.
Right.
Okay, so on the international front, U.S. Embassy set to transition to new visa services. Let me read a bit of that. The U.S. Embassy in Accra has announced a transition to a new visa service provider, which will take effect on August 26, 2024, and will affect access to the current visa service provider's website and services, which will cease operation on August 16, 2024. So consequently, between 16th and 26th of August, applicants will not be able to make new visa appointments, cancel or reschedule existing appointments, or access customer service. Let's empower women in election management for stronger democracy. And this is an editorial. U.S. to give $414 million in humanitarian aid to Congo. Hamas names October 7 mastermind as new leader. That is also on the international front. And then 100,000 farmers to benefit from agribusiness projects. Let's get into that story. Up to 100,000 smallholder farmers across the country will benefit from an agribusiness project that aims to address persistent high post-harvest losses in the agricultural sector, dubbed Agribusiness for Youth Employment Project. The project seeks to improve the livelihoods and incomes of 100,000 beneficiary farmers by addressing high post-harvest losses in rice, maize, soybean, tomato, onion, and pepper in 11 out of the 16 regions in the country. Clergyman condemns prosperity gospel. The final story I'll do now is introduce broad-based toll systems, and that was the Vice President speaking yesterday. And the Vice President has proposed a broad-based road tolling system to ensure equity. He said there was inequity in the architecture of the road tolling system of the country, as it tended to exclude the wealthier parts of the population. Quote, the current architecture that we have in tolling really tends to exclude even the wealthier parts of the population. So if I live in Cantonment, East Legon, Ridge, which are the high-end neighborhoods, I will not see a toll. But if I live at Kaswa or somewhere else, I'm likely to meet a toll. There seems to be an inequality or inequity in the tolling. I believe that we should look at broad-based tolling to fix that issue. These stories, for your quick reflection, and that is the Bawumia introducing broad-based toll systems, the president tightening grip on public lands. Then there's that story we did about the U.S. Embassy sets to transition to new visa services. And then I think I touched on the 100,000 farmers to benefit from agribusiness projects.
Long overdue. So am I to read my headlines as well?
No. Your reflections on these stories that...
There are many, so repeat them again. The agribusiness
So what do you think about the president tightening grip on public lands?
Well, it's too little, too late. No, that's too low. Oh. too little, too late.
Right.
Because it is under his watch that Okudzeto Ablakwa has gone on an investigative spree and has brought knowledge to all of us regarding exactly the extent of state capture that we are seeing. And if you throw your mind a little back to the fights, you know, that the La chiefs have been on for the longest time now, demanding that government reverts compulsory acquired lands back to them because, again, of this insistent, you know, appropriation of public lands. The invitation has been made to all of us. Let us agree in principle how to deal with state lands and how not. So I'm just saying that it's a little, it's too little, too late. 7.5 years on. Do you know what I mean? You bolt the stable after the horse has galloped away. That is what we're dealing with. But I am for any conversation, any conversation at all regarding the management of state lands. And in principle, I am against government individuals or state, public service actors acquiring state lands and properties for pittance. In principle, we as a nation must quickly determine how we want to proceed on that matter. So, well, it's a welcome news. Let us quickly ensure that we restrict the appropriation of state lands by government actors and state and public service actors as well.
All right. Let me introduce my second guest to you this morning. We've been joined by lawyer Enoch Afuakwa, and he's from the NPP communications team. Welcome aboard the news review segment on the AM show.
Yeah, thank you so much. Very good morning to yourself and Shamima.
Good morning. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Right. I like how you just said, my name went into laughing.
I went into laughter. Because
why? What's going on here?
But the way he's calm, he's a gentleman.
Yeah.
So I know we are going to have a calm conversation.
Oh, we are going to have a very
Some of them have been dirtying themselves on social media too much, you know. So I just, we should really, I passionately think that it is us that creates the atmosphere of our public discourse. And we must re-engineer it into more productive discourse, civil discourse, disagree passionately. But the way in which we are deteriorating into the gutters and name-calling, and particularly the sexist attack against women, all in a bid to crowd out women's voices from the public sphere. And I'm telling them, and I keep saying that we will not cede the public square to these fringe elements that want to deteriorate the public discourse. We will join them and ensure we lift them up from the doldrums, so we will refocus quickly on building this nation.
And we will set the tone for the positive, passionate, but fact-based discourse,
yes,
so that they can follow through. But Mr. Falk, lawyer, Inoka Fuakwa, I'll give you a minute to get into, or take us through your thoughts on any topical issue currently that you want to react to. What's on your mind?
Yeah, a lot. I have a lot on my mind. And the issues I have on my mind lingers on what the NDC calls state capture. What is more of state capture than granting a mining lease to a brother, a company related to your brother, at the tail end of your government leaving office? Almost all our bauxite resources were granted to Esteem Cubic. It took the intervention.
Is it a tit or
yes.
tit for tat?
No, it's not a tit for tat. You see, when we are discussing Ghana and we bring in this matter or these issues of tit for tat, then it narrows the whole issue to political
No, you
gimmicks.
go on. You can leave that out.
So certainly, we are talking about state capture now. You look at former government officials living within the cantonment area, and we know that those cantonment areas were areas that were reserved for government officials. These were state bungalows and the likes. From the PNDC era, we could see some senior state officials, former state officials living within these vicinities. How did they get to live in these vicinities still, having served this nation so many years ago? It means that they purchased those assets for themselves. True or false? And certainly, once this debate lingers on, then certainly we must open up and interrogate. We still have some factories that hitherto belong to the state, that were sold to private individuals, belonging to our affiliated or assigns or alliance of the National Democratic Congress, the SYP, NDC administration. What amounts to state capture than this? There were over 368 state-owned enterprises that went through the Diversity Implementation Committee, that most of them are now warehouses, that most of them are not working.
Okay. You know,
have we vetted our minds as to who the owners of this, who appropriated these state-owned enterprises to themselves through the opaque system of the diversity?
You said what is more state capture than, and then you went on to list all these other issues.
Yes.
So the question I'm asking you, in this term, in this current administration, nearly 8 years now, are you leaving out all the incidents that we are seeing about state capture and government lands and parks and forests?
They don't see. They don't see it.
I mean, is it really a comparison between who's giving out our lands more?
They never see their failings.
They
never see their failings.
I mean, the president is just tightening. And we just did that story about how president has to approve now before lands are sold or transferred. And that approval has to come through the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. So I would say that this is a step in the right direction. But Shamima is saying that it's a bit too late. I mean, after all these years in government, if you're now tightening your grip on these issues, then it's coming a bit too late. So can we speak to this issue?
Absolutely. So when you look at the president's statement of tightening, issuing a grip on, or tightens, measures to tighten the release of state lands and those likes, then it means that the government is a listening government because, one, certainly, once it has become a matter of public concern, that the public are contributing immensely to this debate, the president, as the chief executive of this country, the commander-in-chief, must act. And he's showing leadership as far as the discourse of the people of this country are concerned. So certainly, you cannot say that it is too late. At least, better late than never.
Okay.
In as much as the president has protected the national assets, make sure that most of these assets remain the assets of the state, but some through the SYL administration and how they appropriated some of these things to themselves. You remember the Parks and Garden saga? Elvis Afriyanka wrote a letter confirming that they did money for campaign and those kind of things, and that they must release those parcels of land to individuals so they can get some revenue to be able to run their campaigns and those things. What is more state capture than these things? So if the president is acting today and not thinking of the next election of his party, and not thinking of the revenue that his party needs to run or prosecute a campaign agenda, then certainly that it means that the president is acting for and on behalf of the people of this country, and is running the country for the benefit of the state.
Let's use some other stories.
Briefly? You know, it's very convenient for the NPP to always quickly jump into the fray when issues come up under their watch. Under their watch. It is the New Patriotic Party under the leadership of Nana Bawumia that told Ghanaians that they had the men and that they were coming to deliver this country from where we were, a Gadgetsburg economy, to a productive one, from taxation to productivity, that they were coming to halt the corruption that was eminent under the government of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Everything that was the basis of the NPP being voted into power, they have performed worse. Everything. The Afrobarometer report has told us that under His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, 87% of Ghanaians believe that Ghana is going towards the wrong direction. Yeah. 87%
9 out of 10 people
say that Ghana is heading to the wrong direction. Under the leadership of Nana Bawumia, we are told that 56%, it was 80, it was about 80-something% who didn't think that we should go into military regime. There are more people who now feel that a military regime is an option. Under His Excellency His Excellency Nana Bawumia, who we're told is the vanguard of democracy and rule of law and accountability. Afrobarometer has found that under his watch, he has increasingly shown heavy-handedness, stifling the media and reducing the effectiveness of accountability institutions.
All right.
Like we saw and we are seeing at the Office of Special Prosecutor. So when they come and we throw evidence at them, Chinia, your own minister, was on air trying to make a lame claim that John Dramani Mahama attempted to buy his official residence at the time when you yourself knew what you had done. He was exposed very badly, and I'm sure my colleague saw it on television when the evidence of his own state capture, buying up state lands in the Sisala district, in Wa. Today, there were protests in Wa against the attempts to appropriate the parks and gardens. So the point is that when we recognize wrong, and that is the invitation I made, but what did he do? He went to say that, oh, this was happening, or this has happened in the past. It happened in Nkufuor's era. We saw a list of ministers who appropriated state property and bungalows, who bought their official vehicles. It has been a part of our democracy and governance, which personally, he has not told us personally what he thinks about it. I personally have told you here and now, from my work with CSOs, advocating for so many years that this shouldn't be a good governance practice, that people come into power and then use their positions to appropriate our collective resources. I personally am against that. What is his personal decision on it? What is his personal decision on that?
I get you.
MPP wants them to accept responsibility.
Let me come in.
Accept responsibility.
You can't have the time for yourself.
Please. I'll let you reflect a few minutes and then we get into
Chinia is the face of corruption in this government. Sila Dapa is the face of corruption in this government.
You see, when the NDC speaks about corruption, what is the standard? In fact, in the Fourth Republic, let me tell Shamima here that the NDC has proven to be the most corrupt political party.
The facts don't bear you out.
Give us facts.
The
issue is that from 1992 up to today, it is only the formal officials of the NDC that have seen conviction and sentencing within the courts of our country. You talk of the Kwame Pepra scandal. You talk of the Abu Ghapele scandal. You talk of the Sednam Tamaklo, recently Sednam Tamaklo's matter, where she took Maslock money, gave it to Obatampa Microfinance in Ejurasiche Dumase without due documentation. When the woman asked of the interest rate and Sednam mentioned that it's over 20-something%, the woman said, we can't pay. We can't make profit. We make losses. Say, bring the money. Bachona, Shell filling station, this woman took the money into her car boot, appropriated it onto herself, never pumped the money back into the account of the state. You see, I remember that. Please, let's have a civil discourse, please.
Go on.
You see, when we talk of corruption, you remember the NCA saga, why over $2 million of Ghanaian taxpayers' money were appropriated onto themselves. You remember the Airbus scandal. You remember the Mesue Kanazure, Jibril Kanazure scandal, where the sitting president took for the expedition car at the expense of the interest of the Ghanaian people, awarding contracts to Jibril Kanazure personally, and appropriating for himself personal gifts and personal gains from all these transactions. All these matters came to bear when the new administration came into office and accountability started properly. And you see, when you mention corruption and integrity matters.
Let me interject briefly. So the NDC has had their issues of corruption. The NPB has had their issues of corruption.
The corruption association. Let's clear this. Let's clear this matter.
I'll give you the chance to speak.
Very well.
So going forward, let's ensure that we are speaking based on facts and how each government or each party is dealing or tackling with these issues as and when they come up. That is the conversation we are having. But because of time, we need to get into some other stories.
I'm coming. So let me land. You gave her a lot of time.
I'll allow our 30 more seconds and then we go.
You see, please, respectfully, you see, when we talk of corruption, has any of the officials of the New Patriotic Party be convicted and sentenced of corruption? So all these matters that they are churning into the public are corruption perception. I'm coming.
Now I understand why they are packing the courts.
I'm coming, please.
Now I understand
why they are packing the facts. On factual matters, none from President Kufuor's era up to this time,
from you if you don't let me moderate this. Please, hold for me. Let me do one last story and then I'll come back to you. Please cool down. Both of you.
On corruption.
So there's a story here about we need $271.7 billion to expand roads. That is according to the finance minister. And the country needs an estimated $271 billion to achieve its target of expanding road network from about 87,000 kilometers in 2016 to 253,000 kilometers by 2047. And they're seeking some funds from the World Bank. Let me skip to here. The country director of World Bank, Robert Taliasio O'Brien, observed that Ghana had the second largest pipeline for roads in the sub-region and the 38th globally in terms of the US dollar value for all projects. And he commended the country for its efforts in that target. Quote, "There is a lot to celebrate on the hard-fought accomplishments, which is the result of sustainable leadership, capable institutions, and important financing flows." I'll give you each 2 minutes to reflect on this story, and then I'll get into your papers. I'll start with you, Tina.
Okay. Just, this story that you have mentioned, and before I come, I will use 1 minute of my 2 minutes to address a matter and to speak to Ghanaians directly. I will take a government any day who, under its watch, when issues of corruption against its officials come up, they take action and then bring resolution to the matter. I will take that government any day than a president who has been tagged as the clearing agent. I will take that government any day than the president who appointed a special prosecutor upon his exit told us that our president is the mother serpent of corruption. I will take a government any day under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama when he tells us that under his watch, the accountability will start from members of his own government, not a president who will write a Dear Cecilia letter to a minister who was found hoarding colossal sums of money, over $1 million, that made Ghana a laughingstock across the world. I was in Nigeria when the story broke. Ghana was the butt of all jokes outside the country in so many nations. I would take such a government any day that can bring its own people. So I understand why now this government is so interested in packing the courts, because they know that they are not going to bring anybody found wrong and doing wrong to the courts. This is the government we have been given. This is a far departure from what we were promised. The PDA scandal, they have quickly forgotten. The Ejapadia matter,
we need to invite you for a more extended conversation.
Yes, very conveniently, the litany of corrupt practices. Yes, that's what we are doing. It's just sad that MPP continues to gaslight Ghanaians this way, when the reality and the experience of the administration is in stark contrast to what they promised. They truly came to loot and share. And they have created nothing, because they have collapsed the economy and they have given people haircuts. They are apologizing for their wrongdoings in one breath and telling us that they've not done anything wrong in another breath. What a conundrum. What a conundrum. That's 1 minute. Can I use the 1 minute on the road thing?
No, you did 2 minutes, actually.
Oh, well, the MPP must
I'll come back to you.
Please.
It's his time now.
Please.
Yeah.
You see, the New Patriotic Party government is the only government in the Fourth Republic that has constructed more routes. President Akufo-Addo and Bawumia's government has constructed more routes and interchanges than any other government in this republic.
And how are those routes faring?
And it's credited for doing so. In fact, between 2017 and 2022, the president, in his State of the Nation address, which is part of the records of Parliament now today, and is open to the Ghanaian people, told the people of this country through Parliament that his administration has constructed over 11,000 kilometers of road, and it is not in dispute. Going forward, fast forward, the people of Ghana need more roads. The president continues to construct more roads for the benefit of the good people of this country. And in touching base with the good people of this country and making all roads motorable for the people of this country to be able to move freely in the discharge of their various duties and in transporting themselves from one end to the other, decided to introduce this district road improvement project to help the various district assemblies maintain the inner roads, which has not seen the light of day as far as graveling or sealing or asphalting is concerned. And certainly, the president has been magnanimous in providing to every district of this country 7 road maintenance equipment, i.e. water tankers, graders, bulldozers, how do you call this one? Rollets and all the rates that the road construction industry needs in making roads accessible and motorable. And this core is what the president has done to help and ameliorate the concerns of ordinary Ghanaians. So currently, in the coming days, we will be seeing much more investment or much more attention on our inner city roads and the like. And the president, in thinking forward, has also thought of raking in more revenue to be able to ensure that the year of roads that he declared years back sees the light of day, so that the country Ghana can construct more roads and more infrastructure.
I have a question.
8 years.
You said we don't have.
I believe you have a civil discussion.
We are having a
you can't do this.
No,
you can't do this.
Shamima,
you can't do this. No, you can't do this.
Okay.
Let's have a
you can't do
conversation.
this. Please.
He actually landed.
Thank you.
So please, when one person is speaking, let's hear the person out. And then when you have something to say,
yes, ma'am,
you get into it. All right. So you said there are motorable roads. I just want to bring 3 things to your attention. The Tema motorway, the potholes, and the manholes that are causing lives and cars to deteriorate, if I should say. And then there's that Dawenya Aplau Road, where the contractor kind of disappeared. We've been bringing that the whole week. We've been covering that story. A tractor broke down on that road, and someone was commuting from, I think, Barrier to Dawenya also, and it took 3 hours. Yesterday, one woman told us that she's lost her pension because she had to quit her job because commuting from the house to work is just too cumbersome. Are you sure that this government has ensured, and I'm quoting what you said, has ensured that we have motorable roads all across that 11-kilometer road that you say that they have constructed?
Certainly.
Briefly, and then I'll move on to Shamima.
The road infrastructure or the road network that we have in this country spans over thousands. And once government commits into making sure that over 11,000 kilometers of roads are constructed, means that government is reducing the burden on motorable roads in this country. And certainly, the Aflao Road or the Pong Road, the Pong Dawenya stretch of road, the contractor was on site until this financial challenges hit the people of this country.
What financial challenges?
Oh, yes. We went to IMF, and it is open knowledge that it was liquidity matters that we saw the bailout of the IMF to be able to satisfy our country as far as financial resources were concerned. And certainly, it is not the Dawenya Pampram Road that's costed. Most of the government projects, government roads, absolutely. So certainly, but when the $360 million of the IMF tranche came in, government directed all contractors to go on site, and most of them are on site.
At IMF? That's a conversation for another day.
Another day. When we bring it, we'll not finish
on the road
today.
issue, what are your thoughts?
The editorial of Ghanaian Times reads, Sisala other areas need good roads. Residents of communities along the Tumu Sakai Welembele Wa Road in the Sisala West Municipality of Upper West Region have expressed serious worries about the poor nature of the road and others in the area. They have therefore appealed to the government to give the road a facelift to ease movement of people and goods. You see, the NPP has proven time and time again that they like to preach to us about phantom projects. Which phantom projects, when we go to find them, we don't find them. We all know the state of roads in this country. Inner city roads, community link roads, we know it. And when they even constructed, there's a road where I live. That was, it took so many years. When they finally constructed it, somebody came to dig up the road to build a shop. We hear this person must be influential to be able to dig up a newly constructed road to expand a gutter so that his new shops don't get flooded. That road, that was the beginning of the dilapidation of that road. On the other side of that area that I'm speaking to you about, the road, less than a year after suffering major inconveniences during the construction process, less than a year, I'll tell you this road afterwards. Anybody who plies that Abokobi, Pantan, Abokobi road is a witness to what we speak about. When we say we don't have money, when we get the money, because of procurement politics, we deprive the contractor of the necessary resources to construct motorable and better roads. This is the situation. As we speak, they have not paid a lot of contractors. Yeah. You know that.
And they've been trying a lot of road projects.
But, 7.5 years in the making, beauty, before they now tell us that they are implementing a drip project. Ghanaians, see it for what it is. They are attempting to buy your vote. These are the ways. No, yes, you have a right to motorable roads. You have a right to demand that your taxes are used for the purposes for which they are collected.
Shamima,
yes,
you have the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
Yes, I have the Ghanaian Times.
You've already gotten into a story there.
Yes.
But first, tell us the banner story, the stories on the front.
The banner headline, which is also a very important matter because there's been no government in our history that has been as nepotistic as the New Patriotic Party in the ways in which they have shared our collective resources to their friends and family. And the list of members of government who are all filially affiliated to the president is just serious. Malik, Malik has given us the name. I'm not going to sit here and mention names, but we know the truth. The story says security services recruitment. Enlistment must be transparent. Right. Only qualified persons have to be recruited for security experts. Why do they have the need to caution for security experts who have been in this country over the years? Why do they have the need to caution? Because of the anglings and doings under the current government. And it reads in some part, 4 security analysts have called for transparency and professionalism in the selection of personnel for various security services following the announcement of an upcoming enlistment. They urged the management of security agencies to guard against political influence, ensuring that only qualified persons are recruited to enforce law and order and discharge other mandates.
That's okay.
They would not have fear for political influence if political influence was not happening with the recruitment. Yes,
has there never been a case during the time of former President John Dramani Mahama where politicians use their power, authority, or influence to get the people they know to be enlisted into these various security agencies, security services?
It is Ghanaians.
Can you say inadvertently that there's never been an issue like that?
Oh, I cannot say that.
Okay. So it is
because
not just
the general issue, the MPP is in government.
Okay.
The MPP has promised us a marked departure from the way things were. Some of those things are historical systemic challenges that we must all address as nations. It is Ghanaians who will be employed into these employment avenues because these agencies are some of the agencies that are able to absorb as many. But when you come, you see, there's such a thing as a natural order of things, and there's such a thing as an excessive order of things. As it is these gerrymanderings that led the report of Afrobarometer to tell us that this government has been eroding public institutions, you know, and reducing their efficacy. And which are those public institutions? Is the security agencies, it is the judiciary, from the actions we have seen clearly manifest, and from some of the operational commendations contained in the now vexatious Ejapadie document, which we are seeing roll out. We have seen the implementation of these things. So let us listen to the security agencies. Let us be a fair and just and equitable country. Let us not politics drive our every motivation to try to capture this nation.
So, you know, the story is that enlistment must be transparent. You have your take now.
Certainly, equality is equity principle prevails. And I remember during the time of President Mohammed's administration, there was this member of the police council, government appointee to the police council, Reverend Professor, I've forgotten the other names, who was apprehended. And I was at the CID headquarters, where he was being interrogated on recruitment scams, taking huge sums of money from well-meaning Ghanaians, interested Ghanaians, young people who were interested in serving our country in various security architecture, taking money because of his influence as a member of the police council. What is more derogatory than this? You see, President Akufo-Addo's government believes in the equality is equity principle. And as a lawyer, he believes that transparency, equity must prevail. These are young people. You've seen the advert that was published yesterday or so in the dailies, inviting prospective applicants, especially applicants who patronized the service, or who applied to be enlisted into the various security services in 2021. And these were qualified applicants. Because of the numbers that they were picking, some of these applicants, although they were qualified, were never invited to the final stage of the application. And because they were qualified, this advertisement is inviting these qualified applicants to come because they bought these vouchers to apply. And why must they, as qualified as they are, continue every time, in memoriam, to buy application forms to apply to try their luck, although they are qualified? So now that they are inviting them, that at least first come, first serve, they applied and they were qualified, but because of space matter, because of financial challenges, government could not employ them into the services. They should be the first to be attended to. What is better than this? This is equality, is equity. You see, in our various universities, every time students buy application for, sometimes even nursing applications and those things, people buy 4 or 5 schools because they want to try their luck. You buy Kolebu, you buy Pantine, you buy this because you want to see that, get yourself enrolled. And as a matter of fact, because of this, they spend gracious sums of money in this regard. And once government is using it, it is transparent because government has advertised. Government is not staying in an opaque manner. Absolutely. Process.
And we will be monitoring and observing.
Absolutely. And this is not a government that members of the police council send agents around to extort monies from interested applicants that are willing to be enlisted into the security services and be taking out monies. And I am a witness to Reverend Professor's invitation to the CID headquarters, where he was interrogated. He started paying this sort of money.
We have 5 minutes to go. So please, just give me a second. You know, let's get into your paper, and then if we have time, we can talk about others.
Sure. I like this banner headline. A confirmed ghost chases Mahama. I know he likes a confirmed.
And that's the Daily Guide newspaper.
Yes, that's the Daily Guide newspaper. And it says that a confirmed ghost chases Mahama. You see, the scandalots are confirmed. Let me read a portion that I saw. The confirmed saga refers to a scandalous incident during Mahama's presidency, where guinea fowls allegedly flew out of the country, sparking widespread outrage and ridicule. President Mahama has brought up these discussions again because the ghosts of these are confirmed are chasing his shadows. And no wonder he continues to perpetuate this confirmed ketenkete, mpreko ketenkete, nkukubon ketenkete sort of policy to the people of this country because they knew how they milked this country as a result of this project. This is an SWAS Savannah Development Authority project where the government decided to invest huge sums of money into supporting the livelihoods of the people up north, where President Mahama came from, where President Mahama hails from. Unfortunately, the afforestation projects that were implemented never saw the light of day. Secondly, the poultry projects, i.e., expanding the frontiers of the guinea fowl production so that the people of the northern region benefit hugely from this project, because guinea fowls are mostly reared within the northern belt. And it ended up that government was telling us that these are confirmed of guinea fowls flew out of the borders of our country because the investment that government put in, the millions of Ghana cedis that government put in, and this is not different from the Sednam Tamakolo matter, where over 90-something million Ghana cedis were dissipated just like that. And I believe that it was through these matters that Abu Gapeli and co were incarcerated, and those matters went before the court. So indeed, it's chasing Mahama because of his integrity matters, because of his corrupt character, because of how...
Please.
You see, we have the NPP is master of contrivance. They contrive a narrative, quickly put a label on it, and they run away with it. 7 years on, after you had made all kinds of allegations.
Hold on, actually make it out of the country.
Just look at the absurdity of this matter, which they continue to latch upon because they themselves, by what they have done to this nation, they cannot hold themselves accountable. So they must run quickly and seek refuge in the contrived narratives and the propaganda, the lies, the framings that was the nature and character of their campaign into power. Is it not this same government, these same people who told us that let me ask you a question. In fact, before that question, let me ask my Esquire whether he's okay with the fact that a contract was awarded, an ambulance contract was awarded to the children of the president. Whether he's okay. Yesterday we were shown how through sole sourcing, which they criticized and told us they were going to depart from, if he's okay that through sole sourcing, colossal contracts were awarded to the brother of the vice president, who is their presidential candidate.
You can add your final words, and I'll come back to you.
My final words are that Ghanaians must know, the NPP, under the leadership of Nana Bawumia and now Bawumia Napo, they've shown us who they are. And in these next elections, we must look at the character, the conduct, and the competence of the people who are seeking to renew their mandates after 8 years in power. Everything that they said they would do, they have departed from. Now they seek refuge in the propaganda of yesteryears against John Dramani Mahama, whom you believed and you voted out. They are in power. They ran away from their own mandate to the people of Ghana. Every indicator on which they criticize Mahama, inflation, public borrowing, public debt, corruption, every indicator has collapsed under their watch. Unprecedented. We have seen in this country that pensioners and former chief justices crying out and decrying the rot that we are witnessing in this government.
The government of the New Patriotic Party
they must be voted out of power.
The economy has not collapsed. This economy is recording trade surpluses. In fact, in 2023, over $3.1 billion of trade surplus. In 2022, over 2.1 billion trade surplus. In 2021, over 1.1 billion trade surplus. And in fact, the NDC never recorded trade surplus in their era.
Lies.
Yet, they never recorded trade surplus in their entire 8 years of government, as far as the management of our economy is concerned. Even under COVID, that the IMF were expecting that Ghana, the GDP of Ghana will grow around 1.5%. We surpassed that threshold and grew 2.9%. In 2015, without any externalities, without any difficulty within the external system and the Ghanaian system, the economy of Ghana grew around 3.4%. But even under IMF program, even during COVID and the likes, the Ghanaian economy, our GDP was growing. So it shows that we have performed more better than the NDC as far as economic management is concerned. They come nowhere near. Again,
we have to go.
Again,
we are knocking off.
Again, she mentioned that sole sourcing and the likes. Please, is also part of the body of laws as far as the Public Procurement Act is concerned.
You mentioned the president's brother. Getting the contract.
Was there an approval from the Public Procurement Authority authorizing sole sourcing in the procurement of some public goods and services?
Let me ask you
if it is, then it is not illegal. If it is, it is not illegal.
It was illegal to award Ibrahim Mahama
then it is not illegal. If it is, then it is not illegal.
No.
The finance minister says, mea culpa, through our fault, we are sorry that we experienced economic.
Does he sound like he's sorry? No. Does this man sound like he's sorry?
When you mention the finance minister's speech, I was with him.
This man is not sorry for anything.
I'm sorry.
The finance minister pleaded with Ghanaians on the domestic debt exchange program, the painful domestic debt exchange program. And indeed, we are sorry on the domestic debt exchange program. It was painful, but we needed it for the benefit of this economy, for the benefit of our country, for the health of our country.
Okay.
We are sorry.
Don't do that.
We will have you both on here again.
You are forced to apologize. You are forced to apologize.
Homeopathic clinic, and they are offering free prostate screening. Ladies and gentlemen, free prostate screening and free fertility screening at their various locations here in Accra. You can find them on the Spintex Road behind the engine. You see, this is what people don't get to see. After this heated conversation, they just high-five each other. So it's all in unity. It's all in the spirit of unity. All right, the sports is coming up next. Do stay.